welcome. This is going to be episode 8 of 10 minutes of reading cold the Anarchist Handbook, organized by Michael Malice. We're still in chapter 3. My reading skills are minimal. And we're going to be starting on page 25. Max Stirner from The Ego and His Own, 1844, continuing where I left off last night. When the Christian consciousness or the Christian man draws up a criminal code, what can the concept of crime be there but simply heartlessness? Each severing and wounding of a heart relation, each heartless behavior toward a sacred being is crime. The more heartfelt the relation is supposed to be, the more scandalous is the deriding of it, and the more worthy of punishment the crime. Everyone who is subject to the Lord should love him. To deny this love is a high treason worthy of death. Adultery is a heartlessness worthy of punishment. One has no heart, no enthusiasm, no pathetic feeling for the sacredness of marriage. So long as the heart or soul dictates laws, only the heartful or soulful man enjoys the protection of the laws. That the man of soul makes laws means properly that the moral man makes them. What contradicts these men's moral feeling? This they penalize. What contradicts these men's moral feeling, this they penalize. How should disloyalty, secession, breach of oaths, in short, all radical breaking off, all tearing asunder of venerable ties, not be flagitious and criminal in their eyes? He who breaks with these demands of the soul has for enemies all the men of soul. Only Krummacher and his mates are the right people to set up consistently a penal code of the heart, as a certain bill sufficiently proves. The consistent legislation of the Christian state must be placed wholly in the hands of the parsons, wholly in the hands of the parsons, and will not become pure and coherent so long as it is worked out only by the parson-ridden, who are always only half-parsons. Only then will every lack of soulfulness, every heartlessness be certified as an unpardonable crime. Only then will every agitation of the soul become condemnable. Every objection of criticism and doubt be anathematized. Only then is the own man, before the Christian consciousness, a convicted criminal to begin with. The men of the Revolution often talked of the people's just revenge as its right. Revenge and right coincide here. Is this an attitude of an ego to an ego? The people cries that the opposite party has committed crimes against it. Can I assume that one commits a crime against me without assuming that he has to act as I see fit? And this action I call the right, the good, etc., the divergent action, a crime. So I think that the others must aim at the same goal with me. I do not treat them as unique beings who bear their law in themselves and live according to it, but as beings who are to obey some, quote, rational law. I set up what, quote, man is and what acting in a, quote, truly human way is, and I demand of everyone that this law become norm and ideal to him. Otherwise, he will expose himself as a, quote, sinner and criminal. But upon the, quote, guilty falls the, quote, penalty of law. One sees here how it is man, again, who sets on foot even the concept of crime. of sin, and therewith that of right. A man in whom I do not recognize man is a sinner, a guilty one. Only against a sacred thing are there criminals. You against me can never be a criminal, but only an opponent. But not to hate him who injures a sacred thing is in itself a crime. As Saint Just cries out against Danton, quote, "Are you not a criminal and responsible for not having hatred the enemies of the..." Brutal, sorry. Quote, "Are you not a criminal and responsible for not having hated the enemies of the fatherland? If, as in the Revolution, what man is apprehended as good citizen, then from this concept of man, we have the well-known political offenses and crimes. In all this, the individual man is regarded as refuse, and on the other hand, the general man is honored. Now, according to how his ghost is named, as Christian, Jew, Mussulman, good citizen, loyal subject, freeman, patriot, etc. Just so do those who would like to carry through a divergent concept of man, as well as those who want to put themselves through, fall before victorious man. And with what unction the butchery goes on here in the name of the law, of the sovereign people, of God, etc. Now, if the persecuted trickily conceal and protect themselves from the stern parsonical judges, people stigmatize them as Saint Just, as Saint Just does those whom he accuses in the speech against Danton. One is to be a fool and deliver himself up to their Moloch. Crimes spring from fixed ideas. The sacredness of marriage is a fixed idea. From the sacredness it follows that infidelity is a crime, and therefore a certain marriage law imposes upon it a shorter or longer penalty. But by those who proclaim, quote, freedom as sacred, this penalty must be regarded as a crime against freedom. And only in this sense has public opinion in fact branded the marriage law. Society would have everyone come to his right indeed, but yet only to that which is sanctioned by society, to the society right, not really to his right. But I give or take to myself the right out of my own plenitude of power, and against every superior power I am the most impenitent criminal. Owner and creator of my right, I recognize no other source of right than me. Neither God, nor the state, nor nature, nor even man himself with his eternal rights of man. Neither divine nor human right. Right, quote, in and for itself, without relation to me, therefore. Absolute right, separated from me, therefore. A thing that exists in and for itself, an absolute and an eternal right, like an eternal truth. According to the liberal way of thinking, right is to be obligatory for me because it is thus established by human reason, against which my reason is unreason. Formerly people invade in the name of divine reason against weak human reason. Now, in the name of strong human reason, against egoistic reason, which is rejected as unreason. And yet none is real but this very unreason, neither divine nor human reason, but only your and my reason existing at any given time is real as and because you and I are real. The thought of right is originally my thought, or it has its origin in me. But when it has sprung from me, when the, quote, word is out, then it has, quote, become flesh. It is a fixed idea. Now I no longer Now I no longer get rid of the thought. However I turn, it stands before me. Thus men have not become masters again of the thought right, which they themselves created. Their creature is running away with them. This is absolute right, that which is absolved or unfastened from me. We, revering it as absolute, cannot devour it again, and it takes from us the creative power. The creature is more than the creator. It is, quote, in and for itself. And we'll go ahead and wrap that up on page 28. Again, the Anarchist Handbook, organized by Michael Malice. You should definitely get yourself a physical copy. Physical copies are good things to have, and this one looks good as well. So get yourself one.